Welcome to another episode of the Kenn7 podcast. Before we crack on, just want to remind you to subscribe and click the bell for notifications so you'll see our future videos. And if you have any comments, please feel free to mention them in the section and I'll get back to you. Liverpool have beaten Spurs in dramatic fashion with a Bobby Firmino goal at the death. Joining me to chat about the game are Sir Kenny and Paul Dalglish. How are you going, boys? You all right?
Good, Gavin.
All right, yeah.
Big smiles, good. Paul. Big smiles.
Yeah, I'm all right, yeah. I'm all right.
Firstly, Kenny, you were there. What was it like having the fans back in the stadium?
Do you know, I don't know whether they've turned up the amplification in there because it make a lot more noise than 2,000 people can make.
Yeah.
So either the numbers on the right or the loudspeakers are working brilliantly.
By the way, that's a big statement. It's a big statement that Dad living in the house with the girls, the three daughters that you had in that house, the noise they make. Saying that it was more than 2,000 people. If you know the noise that they made, it's a big statement, that.
Well, I don't remember that. Obviously. I must have been
It's hard to get a word in that house.
It's brilliant when they come out and they're singing "You'll Never Walk Alone," and they really did make a contribution to the game with the atmosphere that it brings into the game. And you were just getting a wee bit fed up with no fans being in. So to have the 2,000 and the difference they made was marked. So brilliant. It was brilliant just to see them. And I think they sort of took it upon themselves to say, well, we're the forefront. We're going to be a substitute for 56,000 that's normally in here. Let's make plenty of noise. And by the way, they didn't half seem to enjoy themselves. Obviously, they won, but it came right at the death. So they were enjoying themselves long before that.
I think it was nice as well, Dad, for Gerard Houllié's family and friends to see the appreciation. It'd have been sad if he hadn't been able to see their appreciation. So I think that was a really nice touch as well. At kick-off, the fans singing his name.
Yeah, and also they had the banners up for Gerard.
Yeah.
And for the club's point of view, the club invited Tomo along because to sit with in the director's box because of the importance of the occasion and sadness. Gerard passing away. So Tomo was there, which I thought was a great gesture for the club.
It's a nice touch, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was shaping up all the build-up that it was going to be a big game, top of the table clash, obviously. What did you think of the starting lineup for us? Was there any surprises for you?
No, really, no. He picked the way to play, but I think most people's opinion would be the strongest team he could pick. And to have the courage to throw, obviously he had to throw him in with the young Reece in there is brilliant. Throwing in the young centre-back to play, and the way that he adapted himself to it was good. And for me, I just thought that for him also playing in front of the crowd, getting a huge round of applause when he wins the first header, it doesn't half help him. It was loud enough to encourage him, but not loud enough to make him afraid. And I thought he did well because they too, Son and Kane, are a handful. So I thought that the team that we had was more or less what we've got.
Paul, Spurs lined up in a 4-4-2. What did you think that Mourinho was trying to do?
I think it was very basic, Gav. I think it was a basic 4-4-2 where he had two lines of four and then waiting for an opportunity in transition to release Son or Kane. And then, I thought when I saw it, I thought what he might be doing is playing with three in midfield and then playing with the winger as well. So, trying to exploit the space on behind Trent that he leaves by playing the winger on that side and then a midfielder tucked in on the right hand side. But in the first half, Sissoko actually played really wide. He was on the touchline. He was playing wide. It was a true 4-4-2. And then in the second half, he changed it. He mustn't have liked the fact that the central midfield combination of Lo Celso and the other fella, Holberg, and he moves Sissoko central to try and get a little bit more legs in there. So, yeah, it was very, very basic 4-4-2, deep block, don't leave any space in behind. Get pressure on the ball when the ball come between the lines if the guy's facing backwards, but don't really get sucked out of position. And it made things difficult for Liverpool all night.
I mean, Liverpool started brilliantly, Kenny. We got a goal on 26 minutes. There was a great ball from Reece Williams just before that. Did you think that was as much as we deserved at that point?
I think before the game, you knew how Tottenham were going to play. You knew what their philosophy was going to be. Behind the ball, let's make it difficult for them. Try and put them under pressure. We take the ball off them. We'll catch them on the hop. When they're on the way out, we'll be going forward. And to be fair, there's a lot of ways to win football matches. Mm-hmm. And although that's not the most attractive way, Jose Mourinho does a really good job at organising them. Yeah. And you've got to give the players a lot of credit as well, the dedication they put into it. I mean, Harry Kane dropped back. Harry Kane in the second half took a free kick well inside his own half and knocked it past the midfield players to the front people. So, I mean, for Harry Kane to be back there, it just tells you something about the mentality that he's put into them. He's back there because he thinks he's got to break something up. But he's got to get forward. If I'm Harry Kane,
there's buy-in for sure, isn't there? There's buy-in. When you see things like that, there's buy-in from the players to that style of football. And he doesn't do it every game. But he does tend to do it in the big games.
Yeah, he's done it. He did it at Arsenal. He did it with Chelsea. He tried it with us. I think he played Man U. I think he did it with Man U as well. A wee bit defensive. Paul, there's many, many ways to win a
game. I don't have an issue with it.
One thing you can have is indiscipline and selfishness on the pitch. And he didn't get that. He got a total team performance. It's not the kind of football you'd love to go and watch every week. When you consider that game to the game Man City, Liverpool, in the first half in that game, that was fantastic. The quality of the game, the speed of the game, and that game last night didn't live up to that because there was only one team wanting to tangle.
What I would say, Dad, to your point, I think you're right. It's not the type of football that you want to go and watch every week, but I do have a great amount of respect for that type of football, and it's very, very effective if you get it right. And I think you were saying the same thing.
I think I did, yeah.
You agree?
I can't believe that.
What?
Gavin, he's just paraphrasing what I said.
I'm just what?
What?
I'm what?
In 2001 under Houllier, when Houlier's best team, we played a lot like that, didn't we?
Yeah. We've played like that before.
Yeah.
When you've got to play like that.
Yeah.
But then you would have thought against West Ham, they stream into a 3-0 lead or 3-1 lead. And West Ham come back to 3-0, I think, and drew 3 each at White Hart Lane. So I think after that, he started to organise the back four. And he's done a good job.
Yeah,
he's done a good job. He's picked people for tailored to the job that he wants to be done. And if they don't do it, they won't be there.
After 30 minutes, I thought we played some absolutely exceptional football. 1 touch, 2 touch. It was absolutely incredible. I wanted to ask you both, as managers, as players, is there a point in a game where you feel like the whole team is on it? There's like just a general feeling amongst you. Is that something that transmits itself when you're playing like that?
I think that you've got to be careful with a game like that because as well as they were playing, they had no goals for half an hour. Right? And sometimes you think, dear me, is this going to be one of those nights where we're going to keep forcing forward and not getting anything from it? And the goal doesn't half help them because it helps them to believe. And then they lose one quite quickly afterwards. But they kept going. They kept believing. They started the second half. Tottenham had 3 good chances in a short space of time, right from the kickoff. And then Bergwijn hit the post. And then Kane had a header where he should have done better. So they kept the belief, they kept going. And okay, it's from a set place that we scored a goal, but you're allowed to score for set plays. And what a header it was for Bobby Firmino.
Mm.
What a header it was. So, whether you deserve to win, Gavin, is immaterial. The fact is we did win. And in this season, when I think that there's a lot of things you look at the calendar and teams are beating other teams. And teams who you think might have a chance of pushing forward is going to be up there chasing for the league title. But I think if Liverpool can continue edging at the results like last night, get the players back to full fitness, have a deeper squad to pick from than what they have at the moment, and probably maybe a better squad, with all due respect to the ones that are in there now, they'll need a rest probably by the time it gets into the new year. I think they keep chipping away. By the way, to win the league, you'll need to finish above them.
Mm. Yeah, completely. Paul, you just going back to the Spurs goal, Sadio Mane tries an overhead kick and it gets caught comfortably by the goalie and he throws it out. How did you see that goal? Did you see anyone was particularly at fault for that counter-attack?
I think Jurgen spoke about it after the game, didn't he? And he said, it's just with the pace of Son, and sometimes there's nobody to blame. You can look and you can point fingers all you want, but I think that Son is one of the hardest players to handle in the Premier League. There's when he gets his legs open and he's running, it's very difficult. And I think that if you look at the offside decision, right, whether it's offside or whether it's not offside, they didn't. I've seen them before go down with the dots and zoom in. I never got that over here with the coverage. I just got the line. And it's a good line that Liverpool have got. It's 6 inches off holding a good line and being offside. And I think that in football sometimes we when it's a goal we overanalyze and we expect perfection and we want to blame someone because that's the way we are as people. But sometimes you just got to expect that if you're going to be an attacking team, you're going to get done in transition from time to time. You've just got to accept that.
It's playing high risk, high reward football, and it's what it's all about.
But people don't focus on the amount of times that by being high and by winning the ball back high and by pressing, that Liverpool have stopped that attack from happening, because people place more focus on events that have happened than events that are stopped from happening. If Mane hits the overhead kick and it goes in, or he hits it and it goes out for a goal kick, then it's not an issue. So sometimes you've not got to overthink things.
Paul, when it's your team that scores a goal like that, you're paying tribute to the guy that scored the goal.
Yeah.
When it's your team that loses it, you're looking for a mistake.
Yeah.
There was very little mistake in it, right?
Yeah.
The VAR, it could have gone either way, right? It could have gone either way. But when he gets through one-on-one with Alisson, by the way, he's an awesome sight. When you're coming out, you cannot be seeing much to hit. But he was cool as a cucumber and rattled it into the hardest spot that he could have put it in.
Yeah.
So he put it in. When he took off, cheering me, he needed a motorbike to catch him.
Yeah. And Alisson just leaned a little bit, didn't he? And then he saw it and he just put it in the near post. It was a great finish.
I don't know what he saw, but I know he set himself up to hit it in there, Paul. And whether it was he saw Alisson move or no, he didn't half strike it away well. It was a great finish.
It's funny, almost exactly the same, wasn't it, as the Bergwijn? Is that how you say it, Gav? Bergwijn. Is that how you I think that's his chance when he hit the post. It was almost identical.
Yeah. But I think he was at a wee bit different angle, Paul, a wee bit further out. But still, Alisson's an imposing body to try and get past. And I've got it. This is going in.
There's no secret. Tottenham had the better chances. They had the better chance in the game, but that's not what football's about. It's not about chances. It's about how many of the chances that you take. And Liverpool, that's why they're champions of everything, or have been champions of everything, is because they take the chances. It's not by luck that when Mane, Firmino, Salah get a chance, that they take them in important moments of the game, and that's why Liverpool are successful, and that's why Tottenham don't have any trophies. It's not about the better team is the one that takes the chances, not the one that has the most passes.
Well, it's no, the better team is the one, the best team is the one that gets the most points.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
There's a lot of way
we're
get
we're quite good at that.
scoring one goal, right, and losing none. You still get three.
Yeah.
You score three, you beat 4-3. By the way, your history.
Yeah.
So that's where everywhere Mourinho's been, he's been successful. Even at Manchester United, when he never went down too well, he still won the UEFA Cup or Europa League, whatever you call it, when they beat Ajax in the final. And he did a number on them as well. So he knows what he's doing. He knows what the job's about. And to be fair, he's got them up there nibbling away at the top spot.
Something I mentioned to you, Paul, before. I mean, had that have stayed 1-1, everyone would have been saying Mourinho masterclass. Even if they'd have nicked it, they'd have been saying a Mourinho masterclass. He set his stall up and he's nicked a couple of goals or nicked one goal. Do you think, I personally think that's a bit generous, because Liverpool had 11 shots on target, which says to me that the defending wasn't particularly well. What was bad was our shooting, really.
No, listen, as the manager, like, he set his team up right. They had the better chances. For me, football is not about possession, it's about control. It used to be that, you know, when in the Guardiola era, it was about controlling the game with the ball. You can control the game without the ball. It doesn't matter how you control the game of football. You've got to have control in a game, either with or without the ball. And football, really, Gav, sometimes we get blinded by what happens between both boxes. But football is really a game, ultimately, about how many chances you create and how many chances you don't let the opposition create on you. And that's basically what football is about. Tottenham had better chances than Liverpool. So his plan was successful. It just wasn't implemented by the players as well as it could be.
Do you know you've got to be careful with stats, Gav?
Go on.
It's not really good staying a shot on target. But the keeper threw his hat in about 4 or 5 of them last night. Bergwijn goes through, knocks it past Alisson, hits the post. That's not a shot on target. That doesn't count as a shot on target. The goal, I don't know how they would treat the one that Manny had turned and smacked his left foot shot, and Lloris had a great save, touched it onto the bar, and we got a corner. I don't know whether that's on target. I know it must be if the goalie's touched it, but it's hit the bar. So,
well, the balance of play, though, Kenny, we were so dominant. That's how it looked to me, just using my eyes to get the stats.
Yeah, but in passing, Gav, but not in shots. Tottenham had more shots than Liverpool on target and more shots in general, no?
No, Spurs had 2 shots on target. Liverpool had 11.
On target?
Yeah.
But
Liverpool had 17 shots in total. Spurs had 8.
Right. And then, but how many big chances?
Spurs had 4 big chances. So 4 of the 8 were big chances. Liverpool had no.
Because Kane's header was a massive chance.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
So for me, I think that's ultimately. I kind of, when I'm analysing our team, I judge the game on. Yeah, I do look at the XG, but I look more on how many touches we had in the opposition box and how many touches they had in ours. It's a very basic way of analysing the game, because then it shows you that you've been successful in doing what you want to do. Like you can get into the opposition box with combination play. You can get in there by sitting in a deep block like Mourinho did, and leaving a bigger space to run into it from. That's it doesn't matter which way you do it, but the outcome needs to be the same. You need to protect your box and you need to get into their box. And that's really football, Gav, in my opinion, in very, very simple terms.
When they use it there, defend from the front, look where Tottenham's front started from. It started to the halfway line.
Yeah.
And by the way, they were really secure.
Yeah.
Not much space between front and the back. But
yeah,
they were really well organised. They never bothered about Liverpool taking short goal kicks, really. And starting. No. Yeah. I thought he had them really well organised. And I thought like even Son played a bit further in off the touchline, and Sissoko played further in, and he's got a good pair of lungs. Sissoko, he can go up and up. Ore and the others behind him, he's quick. He's quick, but as I say, they're good at what they do, and he's got them handpicked to fit into the system he wants.
Yeah.
And it suits him. And you've got to give him credit for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Tottenham, some clubs have a DNA about how they like to play, and Tottenham has always been free-flowing, score goals, maybe lose goals, but score goals and entertaining to watch. I don't see Josie adopting that philosophy, although at the same time, it'll depend if he's a success with the results he gets.
Yeah.
And I think at this moment in time, he's laid his players out to say, well, listen, we're going to be hard to beat. When we go to the bigger clubs, we're going to be hard to beat. But you need to start somewhere, and he started it where most people start to build a football team, and that's in the defence.
Mm-hmm. When you were
your point, sorry, Gav.
Go on,
your
mate.
point, Dad, when you were saying about where they set up the line, there was actually, I was looking at it again this morning, there was actually situations where when they gave the ball away, like a Liverpool player would run forward to get pressure on the ball. They were actually running back into the defensive position while the ball was going in the other direction. So it was definitely a game plan to set up in a deep block, medium block, whatever it was. But they were actually running back into it as quickly as they could in transition. It was good. I actually think Mourinho got it right, judging by the chances that we had and the chance that they had. But I still think Liverpool played well. I think you can think both. You don't have to pick one side or the other, do you?
So, sat in the stadium, Kenny, did you feel like a Liverpool goal was coming towards the end?
Yeah. I always feel there's a goal coming.
And it must have been.
Optimistic, Gal.
But do you know what I was thinking, Dad?
That was like, maybe turn the clock back a wee bit, right? When a long way back, when Liverpool used to grind out. I mean, it was an enjoyable watch, but it was a grind to get the victory. And how many times, not in the recent past, but further back than that, of Liverpool go and win with a last minute goal? It was going back to the old days.
Yeah.
Even go back last year.
Yeah.
When we beat at Villa, we scored 2 in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah.
It's brilliant, by the way. And when you score in the last minute, the victory always seems better and more important than what it is if you win 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Yeah. The morale, the goodwill that carries into the next week of training. But Dad, all the great teams have that. You know, Ferguson, great United teams were famous for that. You know, if you think about Aguero, last minute goal for Man City to win in the league for the first time.
But
all that.
That was the second goal, and we had about 2 or 3 minutes to go. The first one, they were 2-1 down. That I never realised that till I saw this through COVID, the replays.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's brilliant, and that's the sign. And I obviously used to do regular podcasts, and I said that was for me the biggest thing that Liverpool needed was the ability to win games without having to play at the best on every occasion, and the ability to go, okay, didn't play great, someone might have had better chances, but Liverpool pick up the 3 points. And what that does is it creates a fear factor. And I think that people used to come to Anfield, people are coming to Anfield now, and they were 1-0 down before they even started because of the reputation and the environment that Anfield is. And if you look at the run that Liverpool are on now, they haven't played well in all those games, but they've always found a way to get something out of the game.
At the start of the season, and when Jota started to get involved, what a godsend he was.
Yeah,
he was scoring the goals, then the runs, really tormenting the opposition. And to add insult to the injury, that we'd already had the injuries with Virgil, and he ends up getting injured at Fulham or somewhere last week. He ends up getting injured, and that's one of years. He was brilliant for us.
Yeah, he was in a good moment, wasn't he? He was in good form.
A really, really good addition to the squad, and he was proving it. And he's not there. And I think when you look, it's all right being snide about your injuries, and there's no way in this world is Jurgen trying to blame his injuries for bad results or whatever. He's just got on with it. And the important players that you have, they're the most important players on the books. They're the ones that are injured. So the ones that are injured can't help you. And that was a big loss losing Jota, because he can score a goal for you later on, or he can start the game and bang them in. He's been really impressive. And they've done it last night. They've got like Curtis Jones out there, played really well, and Reece Williams really well. Last year, Reece Williams was playing for Kidderminster Harriers, which doesn't do them any problem. Doesn't do them any harm whatsoever. They can see how the other half live, and it maybe give them that wee bit more determination and grit to make a success of it for themselves. And he's acquitted himself very well in the games that he's played. And Curtis Jones has done the same thing. But you can't expect him to go on for too long a time. And it's brilliant that we've got Reece Williams to fill in, because Joe Matip picks up a couple of injuries now and again. So it's good that he's got faith and he's got trust in him going in the league games.
What I was going to ask you, obviously that's a fantastic result, and from both of your points as managers and players, obviously that'll be a boost to the confidence. But do you think that might actually, that'll be like a muscle memory almost, that from last season, that they can now do it again? Do you think that will add to, that'll give them the belief that they can actually go and win the league again as a shared memory? Do you understand what I mean?
I don't think there ever would be any complacency, right? Because you won it last year, don't mean to say you're going to win it this year. But because you enjoyed it so much, winning it last year, the second year's even better. So I think it would only incentivise them. And I think this maybe just give them a wee lift. Maybe thinking, we've got a few injuries, are we going to be able to do it? To beat the team that's top of the league, albeit in goal difference, and you go above them, that gives them a huge lift. And anybody that maybe thought they were struggling a wee bit in the games, or they're not quite at their peak, that helps them as well.
Yeah.
I mean, don't kid yourself on. No, everybody's super confident, and they need a wee boost to do it. And some of them did get a huge boost last night. Salah, he worked his socks off last night going backwards to try and get the ball back for us. He was impressive last night with the work rate that he did defensively. So everybody would take something positive for the game, and that's all you need. And other people might be sitting looking at the game, same as what they would have done when Fergie was scoring in the last minute. They'd be saying, "Oh no, that's him again." And I hope people are like that with us.
Yeah, it's frustrating for other people. It is when a team does it. It is frustrating. And I think, just going back to the mindset, the culture that has been set by the manager at Liverpool it's unrivaled in world football for me. The culture that he creates at the club, and one of the big things is one game at a time. If you hear all the players talk, they're all bought into the culture, and just saying it will give them a psychological boost. Going above Spurs and scoring last minute, it's great for team morale. But I think that if Liverpool had drawn that, they'd still have been motivated in the next game. If Liverpool had lost that, they'd still be motivated in the next game, because it's always just about the next game. And I think, as I said, I think I mentioned it before on this, where it was really, really resonated with me when I watched Robbo and Trent talking, and they mentioned about every game's important when you play for Liverpool. Every game's the most important game. The next game's the most important game when you play for Liverpool. And it's true. That's the mentality that they've got. And he was half joking, Robbo. But that's obviously been drummed into them on a daily basis. And so I don't get too concerned whether they win or whether they lose, because I know that they're going to turn up in the right frame of mind for the next one.
Before, just to round off the little thoughts of the game, who was your man of the match, both of you?
Who do you think, Joe?
I thought Ronaldo worked his socks off. I thought he did well. I thought the front three had a real game in their hand, because they defensively they were good. The back four were good for them, well organised and competitive. And I thought Gini worked really hard. I thought Curtis Jones did really well. And really, defensively they weren't really tested. But you can't underestimate the importance of Andy Robertson bursting forward and working the cross in.
Yeah.
He lifts the crowd.
That's my guy.
Right? So, I mean, man of the match to me is not really that important. It's the fact we won the game. I think Jurgen's antics on the touchline, I think that helps them.
Yeah, totally.
I think that helps them. And it doesn't help the opposition. Like Mourinho got frustrated last night, and I wouldn't be surprised if Jurgen was doing that to wind him up.
He was fuming. He mentioned it after the game. He said, "You have to deal with this. The Atlantic's coming along."
It's what it's what for him.
Apparently,
I thought it was brilliant.
Apparently, Mourinho went up to the final whistle and said, "The best team didn't win tonight." That's what he said. So, and then he brought it up again in his post-match interview as well.
But that's even better, Paul.
Yeah.
He scored in the last minute.
Yeah.
For somebody not to think you were the best team.
Yeah.
No matter. That makes the victory even better.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, there is Mourinho. No, there is Tottenham. Anybody.
Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant.
No, I Andy Robertson for me. You know, the ball he put in for the goal. You know, you've got to Salah, Andy Robertson. You get used to them. You know, you get used to the productivity, and you sometimes take them for granted. And then I think with Curtis Jones was brilliant, but because you don't expect it, you almost presume that he's played better than what he did. You know, because he's new, he's like a new toy, and you prefer your new toy. But every single week, Salah, Robertson, top draw, and I think Robbo last night was absolutely fantastic. You know, and then. Even Jordan, driving a team forward and controlling the I mean, you could go through all of them, but I just think last night I just thought that I thought Robbo was brilliant.
I agree.
But you've got to, for the young boys to be playing at that level, right? When you see all the stories of the injuries, and I mean, everybody's talking about Thiago, the missing, they're talking about Virgil missing, the two boys are in playing. You've got Oxlade, which is great to see him back. Oxlade Chamberlain back on the bench here, getting close to fitness. The young boys, Paul, there's a weight on the shoulder. I mean, it's the stresses and strains, and they'll no last all season.
Yeah.
But by the way, what they've done so far has been a huge bonus for them and for the club.
Yeah. No, and it's a credit, to, as you said, first thing at the beginning it's a credit to the manager for putting his trust in them. The young ones, he's not scared to give a young player a chance. And I'm looking at it now and I'm going, okay, I'm a young player. Like, where do I want to go? Because sometimes if it's a Man City or a Chelsea in the past, you look at it and you go, do young players really get a chance? Is it how do I get in that team? And I think the one thing about Liverpool that you'd look at is go, they're the best team in the world. But if I'm a young player, I can get a chance in there as well because they don't carry a big squad. They carry a squad, and if someone gets injured, Jurgen will give them a chance. He's got the confidence to give young players a chance. And for me, it's brilliant. If I'm in the academy or I'm a young player deciding where I want to go next, it's perfect, isn't it? At the moment, Liverpool, because if you get a chance.
Well, but that
age isn't
the chances are risen, Paul, for the kids in a way that you wouldn't want it to come, and that's through injuries, right? But
yeah,
it gives the kids huge belief, and the really important thing for the boys is when the rest of the players get back, and maybe they've got to go back to maybe play some 23 games or whatever, how they react and they respond to that.
Yeah.
Right, so, and I'm sure the boys will go back and they'll be as level-headed as they were before they went there. They'll be a wee bit confident, but they'll not be overconfident. The games that they've played, they've done really well in, and it shouldn't do them any harm. And going back, they might be a wee bit disappointed, but if they don't keep up the level, they'll not get the opportunity to come back in.
That's it. That's the toughest one, Dad.
Reaction is.
That's the toughest one, isn't it? That for a young player, if you get a little taste of first team football, then you're back in the reserves. how you motivate yourself. That's when you learn a lot about a player's character when that happens. So it really is a thing in football. And but to be fair, Dad, reserve team football doesn't really exist anymore, does it? Because a lot of the squad players don't play in the 23s anymore.
You've got to use it to keep yourself as close as you can.
Yeah.
Like to being as good as you can if you get asked to go back in. Even if you're sitting on the bench and somebody gets injured and you've got to go in, you've got to be ready.
I think, and you know the other thing as well, Dad, that I'd say, I think from what they've done when they've played, there'll be a whole host of suitors that might want to take them on loan so they can keep playing first team football.
No, you can't put anybody else out on loan.
You're saying when the guys get fit, when the guys return from injury.
I mean, I don't see any of them even looking at that this season, and I would think that the positivity, especially Curtis, he'll not be going on loan anywhere, Paul, even if everybody's fit.
No, he's an established first team player now.
He's selling an experienced player and getting rid of Curtis.
Yeah. Do you think the? And then obviously Gav was trying to wrap up and we've kept talking. But if do you think that the Wijnaldum situation with his contract expiring has, made Curtis's his development less of a problem with Gini? Gini's brilliant. I love Gini. I'm one of Gini's. I love what he does for Liverpool. But with the emergence of Curtis Jones, does that make it less pressure for Liverpool to re-sign Gini Wijnaldum?
Maybe it puts more pressure on Gini. Maybe he thinks if I sign, I might not get a game. Curtis has already put me out. But for me, I think it's a tribute to Gini. How dedicated his energy is, or whatever you call it, how dedicated he is to getting Liverpool positive results. The work that he puts in, the effort he puts in, the commitment he's got. Paul, if that's what makes him play, don't give him a contract.
Yeah.
At the end of the season before you give him it, if that's moving forward. But there's one thing, Gini Wijnaldum won't ever come off a pitch without trying his very best.
Yeah.
It might not always be the best, but he'll always have tried to be at his best. And he'll work his socks off.
Yeah.
The same a contract or whether he's no.
Yeah. I'd love to be in a situation where you can have both. But obviously there's finances in football as well that you've got to accommodate everybody in. But I love Gene. And Curtis is going to be, I think he's going to be a top player.
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a top player. It's funny, just on that, it was what you said about he might replace me. I remember coming off the pitch training at Liverpool when Gerrard was only 16, 17. And we were training and it was Jamie Redknapp said, we were talking about replacing someone. And then Gerrard was walking off and he said, well, he's going to replace all of us. And it was funny. I don't know why, but it stuck in my head at this time. And then you go and see what Gerrard did. So it's no doubt that players look at young players coming through and go, he might take my place. And it's definitely a motivating factor for senior players.
But that's a great thing for a club to have.
Yeah.
The fact the first team players can see the young players.
Yeah.
And the young players at Liverpool got up to train or walk up the road to train by the first team squad several days. Right? And that's great for the first team players and it's great for the young boys. For the boys in the first team to even be talking to them on the same pitch as them. That must give them a huge lift.
Mm. Yeah.
I think we've done really well over the past few years with young players, and I think it's partly because of that.
Definitely.
And also recruitment and ability, everything goes into it. But
you've got to give
training.
Got to give Ian Graham and Barry Hunter a little bit of credit as well, for the recruitment, and then obviously the academy guys for the development of the players. Alex Inglethorpe and all the guys there. It's funny,
you don't get successful football club if you don't have a good backroom staff, right? And the backroom staff isn't just the manager and the coach and the director and the fitness guy in the first team. It's throughout the whole club.
Yeah.
It's throughout the whole club. If everybody sticks to their own job, does their job properly and the best of their ability, and that's a good level if you've got ability, then they're going to have a better chance of being successful. And I think that's Liverpool's back to where it was before. People in at any position they hold in at the football club, if they're good at that, by the way, the football club will flourish.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Normally, as a Liverpool, for years as a Liverpool fan, you were going, "Oh, we need to do this or we need to do this." You're actually looking at the club, going, "How everything's there. It's everything's in place. The academy's moving to the same facility as the first team. Everything's coming together in Kirby. It's just
we're now the club that other teams are looking at, saying, "I wish we were like that."
Yeah. And it's been a long process, Gav, and we've earned it. But it really is the case. Kenny, even the thing, Dad, even the thing that you said about inviting Phil Thompson to the game, like that's important. Like for me, that shows that the club at every single level, boardroom level, ownership level, is doing the right thing. Doing the right thing, like making the right decision most of the time.
But there's no one person can be involved in every decision. So it takes somebody, right, who's there to suggest it.
Yeah.
It takes the people that are going to decide who comes, right?
Yeah.
Then the ability to say yes or no. And they're always going to say yes, because it's in the best interest of everybody. Yeah. And it was a great decision.
And it's really important. Like that makes me feel good about my football club.
Aye.
Good. So,
don't feel good about your beard, Gav.
Oh, here we go.
But
listen,
I feel good about the football
for a minute, right? So I've prepared something before I let you go. It's going to take like 5 minutes. Kenny, you all right? Have you got 5 minutes?
I don't know, Gav. It depends what you prepared.
What I wanted to do was, you probably don't.
I'm just going through a tunnel. Hold on.
You probably don't remember this, but at Paul's wedding in Vegas, me and you had a chat by the bar, and I asked you about one of the goals that you'd scored, and you took me through it, how you saw it. And what I wanted to do, you probably don't remember, but it was amazing to listen to. So what I wanted,
not many of us remember that night, Gav.
I've got.
I wasn't even meant to be getting married.
Kenny, I've got a few goals to show you, and I wondered if you could talk us through them.
Well,
are you ready?
Let's see what goes there first.
Okay, well, let's see. So hopefully I've got the technology working, right? So the goal I was talking about was the 1978 goal, the European Cup final, but I've got others, but I'll play that one first. So can you see that now?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Let's play the goal.
And here's Dalglish. Over his head nicely, and De Cubba was there, but so is Souness there.
What do you remember about this, Kenny?
Now Dalglish!
All right.
Across the face of the goal! Just look at that.
Say that again. Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I say the first thing I remember is just going through my head. Just knock it in, back in towards the middle of the goal. I don't know who's there, right? But it should be somebody there, just to keep it alive. And then the next bit, you try. The guy goes to head it out, and you try to keep on side. It goes to Graham, so I've got to get half turn, because there's a chance I'm going to get it. And he went into a block with a guy, and it broke to me. And the goalkeeper had gone down early a couple of times before. And I thought, well, let's see if he's, I hope he's going to do it again. So I just dipped the shoulder a wee bit and chipped in.
That's the bit I remember you telling me that Terry Mack had gone through. You said to me that you felt like Terry Mack had gone through a few times, whereas he'd actually only gone through once.
Yeah. Somebody came through 1-on-1 and he went down early.
Yeah.
He was very consistent.
Yeah. Okay, let's try another one then. Let's try this one. You can see that now, yeah?
Oh, it's Scotland.
Dalglish. Well, that's a great turn by Dalglish. Chance now on for Scotland. Dalglish is best. And that is a goal to remember.
That was a cross.
What do you remember about that?
I remember we get beat 3-2. No, the guy had marked us, and he must obviously been given a job to man mark us.
Yeah.
So I knew he was going to be kind of tight to him. And he just take a chance, Gav. It's just a gamble. flick it with the outside of your foot and try and get round them. He's not expecting it to go first time. And if it landed at somebody else's foot, I was unlucky, but I got round and got on it. I had to step back away for the goal line and then just aim for the far corner.
Left foot.
By the way, Gav, it's okay. It wasn't just for decoration, the left foot. You know, sometimes it worked. A lot of times.
But did you not use the floodlights at Hampden?
That wasn't.
Do you know that one? Do you know that one, Gav? Ask him about the floodlights. How he used the floodlights.
That was in Brussels. Sunshine, Paul.
Sunshine or floodlights? Both.
Struggled a wee bit with the floodlights when they was four of them, but.
Do you know?
Is that
no,
true?
what he used to tell him what he used to do. So what he says he used to do is he used to, because everyone said, how do you turn? How do you know which way to turn? And how could you turn? And everyone talked about his ass. But what he used to do is he used to look at the reflection from the floodlights or from the sun and see where the defender's shadow was.
No.
And then if the shadow was on this side, he'd go that way. If it was on the other side, he'd go the other way.
Is that true?
Sometimes you have.
But that's why he said when there was 4 shadows that came off the floodlights, he was fucked because he didn't know which one to turn.
Right, I've got another go. I've got a few more, so if you don't mind, what about this one here? See if you like this one.
Oh, it's Wigan. That's me. This is
Here we go, son.
Look at this.
They seem to muscle Kenner out
Look
of
at
possession.
that.
Ball over the top. Kenner rather little encouraged to chase. And he's got possession of it, does really well.
Wigan legend, Lidl.
Utilises Paul Dalglish.
Look at this,
Dalglish
Gav.
trying to get into the box. Drives towards goal. What a
Oh,
save!
Ross.
What a fantastic
Ross.
goal!
Cross.
Paul Dalglish.
Not bad, mate, that one.
See the dip on it at the end.
By the way, the keeper had super glued his boots. That's a great goal, that, Paul. I've never seen that before.
Neither did the goalkeeper.
It's a good goal,
It
mate.
wasn't me. It
Did you
wasn't me.
Do you remember it? Do you remember it?
I remember it. Yeah, it was. We battered them. I think it was 5-1 or something.
6-2, I think it was.
6-2. So I remember it well. Hey,
Who were you playing?
Stoke. But I think it was towards the end of the game.
Well, you're sub anyway, weren't you? 2 digits.
No. Squad number's 31, wasn't it?
Oh,
So
was
I
it?
think at Wigan, I don't know. I don't know my squad
I
number.
think it was about the 4th goal, wasn't it? That one.
Yeah.
Another one. You ready?
So then away go Everton. From
Oh,
right
yeah.
to left.
Oh, I remember this one.
Capacity crowd.
28 seconds.
52,500. A sellout
What?
crowd.
28 seconds, this one.
Everton having won the last 3 derby matches, but as Kenny Dalglish says,
Terrible
that's what I think on the
celebration.
day.
What are you
Derby
trying to do
matches
that
are
the
one-offs.
thing for?
Oh, look at that. Bad pass to Josh.
Watch this. What do you do with your hand now?
Liverpool. It's a magnificent goal by
What are you doing?
Dalglish.
I can't do that.
That's a one-off from Kenny Dalglish. What a spectacular.
I could never do that. I saw Alan Brazil do it and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I can't do that.
That was a thing in the 80s, wasn't it?
Aye.
They were all at it.
What I remember most about that game, they get back to 3-2
Yeah.
and we were kicking into the park end and somebody's chipped, I think Phil Neal come on sub, and he chipped it into the box and somebody was Kevin, like one of the defenders was in front and I'm going, oh, just miss it. Right. So I've stepped back, took it in my chest, pointed it towards the goal, and I'm about 8 yards out, and that might be stretching a wee bit, but about 8 yards out, right in the middle of goal. So I went like that to Neville Southall, and he dived, and I went, just pushed it to the left, missed it.
Dad, is that the one? Is that the one that you watch it every time you watch it? You still think it's going in?
No, it's the next one. Twice in 3 or 4 minutes, the same thing.
No.
I did the same thing, and I'm thinking, even I'm watching it, I know I've missed it. But I'm thinking, this is a goal. It's going to be a goal. No, missed it. So we're lucky that we won 3-2. If we had the draw, it'd be my fault because I missed two chances.
Psychologists would have a field day on that. You've spoke more about the chances you missed than the goals you scored. There's something to be learned there.
By the way, there's no big. I mean, the goal, I just hit it. I knew where it was going, but I just hit it.
Yeah.
You ready? Got another one?
Oh, God.
Is this Ipswich you're playing against?
Yeah.
It's been played short for Dalglish. He's got it! That's the goal!
Not a bad one.
He's made
Similar, isn't it?
That's not unlike the Belgian goal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the goalkeeper was only small. It was Paul Cooper, the goalkeeper.
But you used to love that, didn't you? Going short. You used to love taking corners and because you loved finishing from that angle. You used to love like going and taking short corners and funny getting into that position.
We played them at Ipswich. Oh, I can't remember when it was. But I'd done them at Anfield, chipped them. Maybe it was Paul Cooper or Phillips was another goalie. Anyway, I've chipped them. So we're going to Portman Road and we're playing. And I don't know if it's the same season or the next season. And I've checked inside with the left on my right foot. And I've looked up and he's taken a couple of steps back toward his goal because he thinks I'm going to bend it to his left. And I just drilled it low to the right. Never even dived. He was still running backwards. He said, I thought you were going to chip me.
I was surprised.
Unexpected.
I was surprised going through I went through a video of your goals. I was surprised how many you'd scored with your left foot.
Gavin, come on.
Because obviously, remember I was left footed.
Why if I scored with a header?
Oh, the one against headers
I
as
remember
well.
the one
That shocked me.
No, the famous one for Scotland against Wales at Anfield. That was a good header.
Oh,
that
came off a corner. It was just one that came off the side of the head, Paul.
When he jumped, he went from 5'8" to 5'2".
Right, one more goal, boys. All right. Paul, I don't know whether you've seen this.
Livingston. This is a great goal. Great footage, innit? Great quality. I like to watch this.
Quick there, lad.
Yeah, I know. It's because my hair was falling out.
Go on, son.
Oh, cheery me, Pedro.
Yeah. So you follow my career well. You've not seen either of them.
Oh, I don't like the celebration.
But that's why my hair fell out, because I ran that fast.
Brilliant, boys. Well, listen, thank you. Thanks.
By the way, Gav, there was another goal, I never saw it, right? But he scored at Celtic Park when you went there with Hibs, didn't you?
Yeah.
And the punters all started clapping. The Celtic punters started clapping.
Yeah, but not for long, because then they scored the winner. We got it back to 1-1. It was. Do you know that was a funny game, because I think it was we delayed Christmas then, because it was around. It must have been Boxing Day or Christmas Day, and what we said is I was driving back down to Southport for Christmas. So we said but that game I was going to get in the car straight after the game and drive back down. So the game, something happened with the floodlights at Parkhead, and the lights failed. So the game was delayed, and I'm thinking, oh no, I'm not going to get back to Southport till late. And then obviously it was Paul Lambert was the manager, and obviously Celtic legend managing, and he. So I it's 1-0, and listen, you go to Parkhead, you get battered. That's just part and parcel of it. But we managed to win the ball back, broke to me, scored 1-1, and I'm thinking, oh, run over to Paul Lambert. I'm thinking, oh my God, we're going to get a point in Parkhead. And then, what was the guy's name? The Japanese guy that it took a free.
Nakamoto.
Nakamura. Nakamoto. Is he like
Nakamura?
Tell you what, I don't know what's coming to our table if you're ordering.
I'm not ordering.
But and then he scored a great goal, and it was like just all right, yeah, we lost. But yeah, I remember that one.
Listen, boys, brilliant. Thank you very much for your time. I know it went on probably a bit longer than you you thought, but you seem to be enjoying yourself. So we'll just let you chat between you, amongst you. But thanks very much for your time. And
we charge by the hour, Gav.
What?
We charge by the hour. We just saw the more money coming in. We were waiting for you to stop us. Better sell some more t-shirts, Gav.
I'm just going through a tunnel. Listen, Paul, Kenny, thank you very much. And if you're watching this, don't forget to give us a subscribe and a link, a little click of the bell button to get the notifications. Thanks very much. See you again.
Thank you.